Then
Yes.
this,
By the way,
then
sorry, I
this,
forgot to record. So I think is it recording on your side? Okay.
yes, is recording.
Okay, yeah.
Then the function of row, is that the function that will basically allow us to roll the dice or roll it to, I'm a bit confused about this aspect.
So the row, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a class, we usually have the, what do you call it? The
Method.
properties, right?
Yes.
In this case, if it's a student, student has their name, their age, their classes,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe a method or something a student can do is sign up for a class. So what you can have is a method called sign up, which gives us the details on how they can do that, right? So in this
Yeah.
case, we have the roll method, which has to do with a dice has a capability of rolling. And in this case, rolling means that like it spins or falls onto the ground, and then you have the final result, which is the number that comes on top, which is like maybe 5 dots or 4 dots. You understand that bit, right? Just in the real world sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so this method, what it's trying to do is to simulate that. So once you've rolled your dice, what number is on top? So essentially, that's what you're going to be returning here, and that's what the roll method inside this class dice
Okay.
does. Yeah. No, that's clear.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So now we have what we now do is that we're going to print this information here. So it's basically saying that your however number sides of your dice is going to be rolled is going to yield off this number. So this is going to be this here, my first dice.roll is going to return the random number that's been generated from 1 up to, in this case, 6. Yeah. So let me explain a bit about the syntax so that it's not so confusing. Is in Python how you can be able to add in your variables, and I'm trying to remember, like when you're trying to print out variables in between a string, what do you use to represent?
I think you can have the string, then comma, then the variable. Or then you could also put it into like a curly braces with the F statement. Yeah.
Exactly. So in this case, what Kotlin does is that like it takes your variable here, which is my dice, then dot the property, which is number of sides, and then you wrap that in your curly brace, and then you put the $sign so that you can be able to not read this as it generally is. So it's going to fetch your number of sides, which is going to be 6. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now the same thing here for the method inside the my dice instance now, which is roll. So it's going to give you, or it's going to return a single number. So let me just run this code so you can see what exactly that means. Playground that. So what you were using essentially to like during this class is a Kotlin playground. So it's just an online editor where you can be able to test your code.
Okay, we're not using Android Studio.
We're about to use it. We're about to start using it for this next part of the session. So that's what you want to start on today. So when I run this code, we're going to see that it said your 6-sided dice rolled 6, your 20-sided dice rolled 2. So if I run it again, it's going to give me another random number. So 4, and then here we have 5. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now let's move to the fun part where we actually get to write some code. Again, please, you get the chance to just go back to this, and then you can get like a better understanding if you want to like dig deeper into classes and objects in Kotlin. Yeah, so before we begin, we need to talk about like what's going to be happening in this particular pathway. So we had started it a bit, but we didn't quite finish. So in this code lab, you will create a dice roll 100 app where users can click a button in the app to roll a dice. The outcome of the roll will be shown in a text view on the screen. So in this case where our roll is displaying here as 5 for the dice, the 20-sided dice, in the application when you click the button, it should do the function of rolling for you and then give you the number. And that number is going to be displayed on your screen. I hope that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the outcome of the roll, yes, will be shown in a text view on your screen. You will use the layout editor in your Android Studio to build your app layout and then write Kotlin code for what happens when the button is clicked. So that's a roll method essentially. Prerequisites, you need to be able, okay, how to create and run Hello World. So this is something that we will be looking at right now. So you've mentioned that you have understood your on your machine. Have you been able to work on it, or is it just that you've installed it recently but haven't got around to working on anything?
No, I haven't worked on it yet.
Okay. Okay, we'll do that. So then the next thing is to get familiar with using text views in an app, how to modify the attributes of a text view in the layout editor, and how to extract text into a string resource to make it easier to translate your app and use strings. Then also the Kotlin programming basics. So we're going to go through all these prerequisites, so don't worry. So what you will learn is how to add a button to an Android app, how to add behavior when a button is tapped in the app, how to open and modify the activity code on an app, how to display a toast message. So if these things are probably an issue, don't worry. So how to update the content of a text view while your app is running. So what you'll be building is a dash roller Android app that has a button. Again, as you mentioned, now when you click, it displays the role. So in this case, this is just a demonstration of what your app is going to look like.
Okay.
Now let's begin. So I think to make it more interesting, I think I'd love to have you share your screen and then we can work on it together on that. Just that you're able to code and you're able to work on that muscle. Does that work for you? Is that okay? Or what do you think?
So I share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So new project.
Yes. Yes. Empty activity, just that one. Next. And then we're going to name it dice roller. Then the minimum SDK, we'll set it to KitKat. Just scroll a bit up.
KitKat, we are KitKat.
19. Yeah. So finish. So at this point, it usually takes a minute before everything sets up. So we'll just patiently wait while the CD does that for us.
Yeah, it does not. Like it's supposed to be doing what you did. Yeah.
So the meantime, you have the emulator set up as well.
What?
Do you have something called an emulator? Did you manage to get that or not yet?
Emulator, no.
You have it?
No, is it like, do you mean BlueStacks or
Which types?
no? I didn't get any emulator.
Okay, okay. So once this process is finished, we'll also work on setting up an emulator. So are you familiar with what it is?
Do you mean BlueStacks? Like BlueStack?
No. So
Okay, no then.
okay. So an emulator it's like a virtual representation of your Android phone on
Oh
your
yeah.
computer.
Yeah, I think I understand where it is. I have one like that,
Mhm.
but I don't know how to create it.
Okay. So yeah, I think we can use that one. Then also just a quick note, because Android Studio is going to be very heavy and it'll get heavier once you have your emulator running. You can use this time to also just close up some of the tabs or windows you don't need. I'll just I hope it's gone back to recording. Okay, so now let's set up your emulator. So what you can do is go to click on tools. You just want to see what's there.
So,
It's at the very top. You'll just see towards the end on the right. So there's navigate, code, analyze, refactor, build, run, and there's tools.
yeah, I can't see because of this.
Okay, you can move it. You can. Okay, yeah, nice. So click on the Avd Manager. What that stands for is the Android virtual device. So what you're going to do is create one. And let's see, you can choose whatever specifications you want. So let me see, scroll down a little slowly. Yeah, so I think as you go down, these are more, I guess, older versions. So yeah, that's okay. We can just go back up to the ones at the top. And let's try the, let me see, you have two there, right? Scroll down just a bit. Let's try and go for the 3.
Pixel 3.
Yes. Next, we'll click on the next button. And then on that table that we have, you have something written art download, so you can click that. So can you accept? Next. And then, yeah, you can just give it a minute to finish. So as you can see, like these are things that will take up a lot of space at the beginning. It's like 1 GB size. But once you're set, you're set. So I'll just pause the recording again, then we can just have another conversation as we read. So you can now press next. Then you can give it a name, or if you're okay with that name, that's okay. Oh, sorry, just no. Sorry, just to clarify. So this Android virtual device is not specifically going to be for this project, but you'll use it in all projects that you build. So you don't need to name it specifically that. So you can just leave it the way it is, or maybe just call it an Android device or something. But essentially, just should be a global name. Yeah. So that looks good. Just refresh, hit that refresh button, measure, and then you can press the, let me see. Yeah, you can just close it, Nice. So just click on the activity underscore main.xml file. It's just on your screen, just next. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Then what do we do? So just try and reduce the size of your whatever's on the left, like the one that shows you your project structure, so that we have more room to work with.
Good.
No, you see where you have app, then it says manifest, like the one that shows you your folders on the left of the screen, like the tree. This one, yes, that one. Yeah, I can do that. So if you zoom in, just click on that plus button, you'll be able to see that you have the text hello world, right? So where that is coming from is through your, so this is what we now call the layout editor. So this is where you can make your changes to the layout and whatnot, and then you can be able to see that as your main activity. So it's basically now like the design side of Android development. So the things that users are going to see on the screen. So we are going to test that that works. And what we do is you see at the very top where you have the hammer, the green hammer. Yeah, there's the next part, choose up. And then if you look to the next bit, you have your Android device, choose what you created. And that's what's going to run your application. And what to run it, you just need to press the green triangle on just next to it. Yeah. So just press that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just give it a minute to run. So again, since these are all first-time processes that you're doing, it'll take a minute. So if you look at the bottom of your Android Studio, you can see it's saying Gradle build is running. So more to the right, yes, yeah. So that process will finish, and then you'll be able to see the screen. So, yeah, don't worry too much about that displaying just yet. Yeah, in the meantime, do you have any question you want to ask me?
Okay, yeah, for the Google Developer Student Club, are there like um other programs like apart from Android Studio, apart from the Android Jam session,
Mhm.
are there like other activities or things?
So at the moment, like it's the Android Studio study jam that's taking place. There will be more as we continue to go along the coming weeks. So this one is essentially, okay, sorry, just give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry about that. You were saying?
Yeah, I was asking like about other activities.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So there will be more. Last year okay, so actually I was the one who was leading the program last year, and what we mostly focused on, like during, because I was 2020 and 2021 was web development. So that was working with what do you call this thing? JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, which is what are the fundamentals for building like a website. So there's going to be a track like that. So right now what you're just working on doing is ensuring that like we can get the Android content like up and ready, at least for the beginners stage. And then from there we can think about having the intermediate stage running like on every other Saturday, as we have the web dev now going for every Saturday like of the week. So there are definitely more programs, and we actually will be having like guest speakers coming in to speak to you from the industry. So you have people who worked in Google, other AU alumni who've worked in Google, because currently we have about, we're not around there, about like four or three. We have 3 students, graduates now, who've worked for Google. We have about the same number who've worked in Goldman Sachs. So they'll be giving you more tips on like how to prepare for code interviews, when to apply, how to apply. So all those things, which by the way, please apply for the STEP program. It's a Google internship. I think it's in the UK,
Yeah.
Singapore, or in the States. It's specifically for year 2 students. Yes, so it's a variety of things. So we'll also, okay, I mean, like you can check on the YouTube channel, right? Like there's a section called, there's a video for the info session. You will see that. I mean, I don't open it right now because of Google and Android and slowness of your computer, but it'll, that specific video just basically tells you about like all the programs that the club has to offer. Make sense? Okay, so I think now we can, you're able to see that your emulator opened up, right? So if you click the icon on your taskbar that looks like a phone, yes, that one. So that's now, it's now showing the name of our project up there. It's called Astrola, and the text view, which is the hello world. So yeah, congratulations on setting that up. Many people don't get there, so you should give yourself a pat on the back for being patient enough to see some results. So I'll just be guiding you through what to do, so don't worry about that. What you can do is now go back to Android Studio and yeah, so as we've done is that you've opened the activity underscore main.xml, which is what you're currently seeing on your computer. And you should see the layout editor. So this is basically where you have that text that I've shown you, which is a hello world text view at the center of the application. Yeah. So the next thing that you'll do is that you'll add a button to your app, and a button is a user interface element in Android that a user can tap on to perform an action. So in this task, add the button below the hello world text. I'll guide you. I'm just reading out some instructions and we'll do it step by step. So the text view and the button will be located within the constraint layout. So the constraint layout, like if you look at the left side of the screen, at the bottom-ish, there's a window that's called the component tree. Can you see that?
Component tree.
Mm-hmm. Like on your left bottom, it's a window just below that palette. Yes, there. So you can see the constraint layout, and then within it, you can see region AB, text view, and the text is hello world. So that's how your application is going to be structured, and I'll show you how to add the button and how it will come in play on that. So what you can, yeah, so basically the constraint layout is a type of view group, and a view group is essentially like a collection of views. So the text view is an example of a view, the button is an example of a view, and all of those are usually contained within a view group, and that's called like the constraint layout, for instance. So yes, in the case of the app, we're going to have the text view and the button, and they're going to be considered the children of the constraint layout, which is going to be the parent. So add the button as a child of the constraint layout. So what you're going to do is drag the button. You see the palette section just above the component tree. There's a button on that side. Yes, so just drag it to the white, yes, there, and place it underneath. Let's give it a minute, just underneath there, exactly, underneath your text view. And below the palette now is where we have the component tree again, and then you can verify that your button and your text view are listed under the constraint layout. You can see they're listed as children, right? Nice. So you'll notice that there's an error at the button because it's not constrained. Yeah, missing constraints to the constraint layout. Yeah, so since a button is sitting within the constraint layout, you must set the vertical and the horizontal constraints. So it's about positioning your button. Yeah, so how do you do that? So in this step, you add a vertical constraint from the top of the button to the bottom of the text view. So how you do that is that you'll go back to the white space, like where you added your button. And if you hover on top of the top part of the button, just hover on top of it, just go to the top of the button again. Actually, just click it, just click. Yeah, at the top of it, you can see there's a circle, a white circle. So what you do is that you will drag that white circle to the bottom of the hello world text view. The bottom of it, yes, good, nice. So so this has established a layout constraint at the button. So it will slide up a bit just to be underneath yeah, exactly, to be underneath the hello world text. So if you look at the attributes on the right side, so let me show you how to get that open. The attributes. Yes, on your left side of the screen, right? At the top slightly, like on the edges. Sorry, on your right side. Apologies, on your right. On your right, yes, a bit more. Just after that red mark, exclamation mark down. Yes, attribute. Can you see attribute there? Yes, click that. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So if you look at your attributes, yeah, on the right side of the left, in the constraint widget, you'll notice, let me see, constraint, yeah, up there. So it says, let me see if I'm seeing the right thing. This is a new layout. Okay. Just scroll down a bit. Let me see what it shows. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I something
Oh,
wrong with
oh, it's okay. Just scroll down. I want to see through that. Mhm. Okay, so go back to the component tree and click on the constraint layout. Okay, now let's go back to the attributes and scroll up. Let me see what it shows. Okay, click on the button one now, still on the components, even there's okay. And yeah, so you can see you can now see that you see in your attribute, you have that section initialization layout, and then you can
Yeah.
see that representation. So 0 dp means that the distance between your text view and your button is 0. So we're going to fix that, but for now what we'll do is work on ensuring that like all the different circles are connected to their respective places. So the same way, just grab the tap on the white circle on either of the buttons and just drag them to the respective side. So if it's the right one, drag it to the right. If it's the left one, drag it to the left. And if it's the bottom one, drag it to the bottom. Still on the white space, So how we did it the first time. Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Perfect. Okay. Yes, nice. So let me see now. Let's try and drag the button up. Yes. Perfect. So now it's seated nicely below our text view. So now if you run the app again, so you remember how we ran it the first time, the icon up there. Now this one just means rerun. Instead of showing you the green triangle, it's going to show you like an arrow. So just click that. Yeah. And then you can open your emulator. And then once it's finished, you'll be able to see a change. So that's going to appear once your grade order has finished. Just give it a good few seconds. Nice. Okay. So that looks good. That looks good. So what we'll now work on is changing the text of our button. And how you do that is, so click on the button again in the layout view. Yeah. And then on your attribute side, scroll down slightly and let's look for the name attribute. So let's see if we can find that. So it should be under a section called the declared attribute. So what you do is you can just minimize this other ones if they're taking up too much space. In case to this one. Yeah, at the top is where you should have your declared attributes. So just expand that. And then we're going to change the text that's written button and change that to row. Yeah, so just leave it like that. And then what you can do is, yeah, you'll be able to see that your button now has the text row on the component tree. It's just now changed to read row. Cool. So now you'll be able to have all these warnings that are telling you it's in yellow. And what this essentially means is that like you need to extract your string. So how to do that is that, like, click on that. Yeah, click it. It's telling you that you're hard coding and you shouldn't do that. So scroll down. And basically what this means is just, yeah, let's have our string stored in a variable somewhere rather than keeping on calling our string specifically from our UI, because that's not like good practice. And sometimes you might want to change aspects of it in your code and you don't want to necessarily keep on going back to the UI and messing it, because you might end up spoiling it. You'd rather do it from a more centralized place. Yeah, so click fix. Yeah, so you can see that there's a dialog here and it's going to tell you that the resource name, do you want to call it row? Be like, yeah, sure. What's the value, which is going to be the string? It says row. Where is it going to be stored under? It's going to be stored under the file name strings.xml. So you just press OK. Yeah. And now you can see that on your component tree that you're now presented with the string represented as our at string row. So what that means is that, like, it's going to fetch the string value from the variable role, which is located in a place called string, which is essentially your string.xml file. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so next we can work on styling our text view. So the hello world text is a bit small and the message isn't relevant for our app. So in this step, you'll replace the small hello world message with a number to show the rolled value and make the font bigger so it's easier to see. So in the design editor, select the text view so that you can see the attributes. So essentially the white layout thing that we're clicking on, just click on hello world and then you'll be able to see its attributes on your right hand side. So what you do is, click on layout. Let me see, it's the layout. Just try and collapse the layout tab over there. The one just at the bottom, no, stick in there. It's called layout. Yes. Scroll down again. Let me see. Okay, let's just work with the all attributes bit then. The very last one. It's called all attributes, like at the very bottom. Just let's collapse all attributes. So let's look for text size. Yeah, there you go. Yes. So now what we're going to change it is to something larger. So we can use 36 SP. So SP is just, for instance, how we work with pixels. You can make it 36. Yeah. So you can click the 34, then you can edit the 4. So, or you can just type it out. Okay, cool. So you can see that the text is much larger now. So now what we're going to work on is clearing the text. So just go back up and you can minimize this all attributes layout and then just go to your declare. Do you have it there? Yeah, so we'll click on add, click that add button. We're going to name this attribute text, just write text in small letters. Then the next one, Let me see. I'm trying to understand where it's throwing an issue. Okay, yeah, sorry, that shouldn't be the case. Just click the minus sign to remove
What?
it. Click the
Okay.
minus sign, like we click the, yeah. Again, just open common, let's open common attributes. Oh, sorry, did we click on hello? We did click on hello world, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, now we're able to see it. Perfect. So under text, change that text to a number. You can just type in number 1 or number 2, press enter. So yeah, you can see that it's changed to the given number. So now when we run, let me see. Accept. Yeah, now let's try and rerun our application. Yeah, just
It's
click on
bringing
yeah, just terminate it. Okay. Yes, so you can be able to see our number there. Awesome. So now what you're going to do is an introduction to activities, and for now you can stop presenting, then I'll ask you to present in a bit.
okay.
Okay, so introduction to activities. So an activity provides a window in which apps draw its UI. So typically an activity takes up the whole screen of your running application. So every app has one or more activities. Top level of fast activity is often called the main activity, which is what we've been working with. And it is provided by the project template. So for example, when the users scroll through the list of apps on their devices and they tap on the device roller app icon, and Android system will start the main activity of the application. So in your main activity code, you need to provide details on the activity's layout and how the user should interact with it. So previously we had the birthday card application, and there's one activity which displays a birthday message in the image. In the dice roller app, which is what we're working on now, there's one activity as well that displays a text view in the button layout you have just built actually right now. So for more complicated apps, there may be multiple screens and more than one activity, and each activity has a specific purpose. So for example, in a photography gallery app, you should have an activity that displays a grid of photos, and a second activity for viewing an individual or photo, and a third activity for editing an individual photo. So here we have a gallery activity that shows you list of all the different pictures, and when you click one, you're able to see more of that specific image. And then there's another activity that you can now have functions like editing, which is like maybe transforming or rotating, all that. So when you open a main activity file, so this is where we're going to add our code. So you add code to respond to a button tap in the main activity. In order to do this correctly, you need to understand more about the main activity code that's already in the app. So just open your main activity.kt and let me know when you're there.
Yeah, I've opened it.
Awesome. Okay. So below is what you should see. You have something that import. It starts with package com dot. Is your saying com dot example dot dice roller, or what is it saying as package something?
Yeah, package from the example dot dash import Android X dot. Yeah, I think it's the same.
Okay, nice. So you don't need to understand every single word of the above code, but you do need to have a general idea of what it does. So the more you work with Android code, the more familiar it will become and the more you understand it. So if you look at the Kotlin code for the main activity class identified by the keyword class and then the name, So you can, I don't know if you're still looking at my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so we have this class keyword here, and then we have our main activity here, and then we're passing in something here called a compact activity. So you'll notice that there is no main function in your main activity, similar to what we had like in the Kotlin code that we worked on, and sometimes I guess even in Python it's the same. So earlier you learned that Kotlin program must have the main function. So essentially, like when you were running our code here, let me show you. I think I closed it, but let me just open it again. You can see that there's a main, right? And this is what's going to be running our code. So if I run this, it's going to display output at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Android apps operate differently. So instead of calling a main function, the Android system calls the onCreate method of your main activity when your app is opened for the first time. So you'll find the onCreate method, which looks like the code here. So this one, the onCreate bit is written here. Fn is just like how in Python you have def, which is how you define your function. In Kotlin, we define it as fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So you learn about override in a later code lab, so don't worry about it now. The rest of the onCreate method sets up the main activity by using code from imports and by setting the starting layout with the set content view. So you'll notice the lines begin with import. Those ones, you saw them at the very top, right? So there's this ones. Yeah. Yeah, okay. The rest is Android provides a framework for numerous classes to make writing Android apps easier, but it needs to know exactly which class you mean. So you can specify which class in the framework to use in your code by using the import statement. So for example, the button class is defined in the Android.widget.button. So now we need to learn about enabling auto import. So it can become a lot of work to remember to add import statements when you use more classes. Fortunately, Android Studio helps you choose the correct import when you're using classes provided by others. So in this step, you configure Android Studio to automatically add your inputs when it can, and automatically remove the unused ones from your code. So how you do that is navigate to File. Maybe you can also share screen again. It's okay. Navigate to File, then open New Project Settings. Sorry, that's Project Settings. Just click on Settings with alone. Up there, up there, up there, up there.
I can't see the settings.
Go. It's on File. Just click on File. Then there's settings there. Up. Oh yeah, that's the one. Yes. And then you click on preference. Is there anything like preference for new projects?
Yeah. Just access for new projects and
Okay, let's try and search for it there. So what you can do is click, oh, where you are, sorry. File, then click on the settings itself. Yes. Then go to other settings. Down, and select at the very bottom. Expand that and click, just expand that. And sorry, just a second. Oh, sorry. So it's different for, I'm guessing you're using Windows, yeah?
yes.
So what you do is go to, just on the same place, click on editor. And open general. And then you have auto imports, the first option. So what you need to do is set static methods and okay, for in that section, if you look onto your right side, there's Java, right? And it says show import pop-ups, just the first line after Java, yeah? You checked classes and you've checked static methods, so that's good. Then what you need to also check is add ambiguous inputs on the fly. So check that. And also optimize imports on the fly. So click apply and then okay. Yeah, and press okay. So yeah, now let's work on making the button interactive. So in the main activity, this is where we're going to be modifying our buttons that can be clickable. In this step, you will specify that when the button is clicked, a brief message will show at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to add the following code into the onCreate method after you see the bit that says set content view as this. We're going to add a code after that. So just I'll guide you on what to type. So just click on set content view. That's the end of line 9. The end of line 9 and press enter. Just no, don't highlight anything. Just go to the very end of that line. No. To the end and press, yeah, you're going to code there. So you can press enter again just for space, and then we're going to create a variable. To do that, we're going to see the variable is going to be called role button, which is the naming of a button. So write val and then space, and then type role button in lower camel case. Yeah, so role, then capital B for button. And then we're going to specify what type of variable this is. So after we've written out our role button, we're going to add a colon. And then you'll space an add button with a capital B. Button. B-U-T-T-O-N. Yeah. And then we're going to equate that to a method or a function rather. So equals. Okay, so we need to import that. Just look at the instruction there. It says click on that red, whatever's in red, the button, and then press Alt Enter. So it's going to import it for you. So the effect or the changes that we added, which was to auto import, will work the next time you open your application, like when you rather when you open Android Studio and you restart it. I'll show you how to do that. So after the equal sign, space and right, find view. It should give you a hint. Sorry, are we okay?
What?
I'm asking if you're okay. If you look like you're clicking on something at the top.
Okay, you said I should click on view.
No. So after the equal sign, click or type this. Type what I'm saying, like literally. Find FIND view. Yes, that one. Oh, you thought it was meaning fine. Okay, I get how that works. So capital R within the bracket dot ID. Yeah, so write the capital R, then dot ID in small letters, dot button again in small letters. Yes, perfect. And then we move to a new line. Great. So a couple of things that have happened here. So we'll need to go over them. So you can, let me share my screen again. Can you see?
Yeah.
Awesome. So note that Android automatically assigns ID numbers to the resources in your app. So in this case, a button is a resource, and it's been your specific button, which is called role, has been assigned an ID called button. For example, the role button has a resource ID, and the string for the button text also has a resource ID. So resource IDs are of the form r.type.name. For example, if it's a string, it's going to be r.string.row. And in this case, if we're trying to get the ID of a specific thing, in this case, the row button, it's going to be r plus id.button. So what the find view by ID is going to do is that it's going to look through your resources and be like, okay, is there a resource here which has an ID called button? And if it does have this ID, please assign it to this variable row button. And so you remember when you were looking at the attributes for the text view and the button view, there's an attribute also in your button that says ID, and that ID has been assigned the value button. So that's how we're going to fetch that information. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So the onCreate method should now look like this. Verify that Android Studio has, in this case, it didn't automatically do it, but you did it, that it has imported your import statement for the button. So this one, you have that, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and if it didn't work, we implemented the Alt Enter. So next you need to associate your code with the button so that the code can be executed when the button is tapped. A click listener, essentially in the name, is some code for what to do when a tap or a click happens. You can think of it as code that is just sitting, listening for the users to click, and in this case, you're clicking on the button. So use the role button object and set a click listener on it by calling this function, which is called or method rather, called the set on click listener. So yeah, how we're gonna do that is this way. So on a new line, yeah, you're going to write out role button this way, dot set online on click listener, and instead of using the parentheses, we're going to use a curly brace. This is because within the set on click listener, we want to do some things. So we need to code up some stuff. If we weren't, then it would just be left as a parenthesis.
Yeah, I've typed that in.
Yeah. And even as you go on, you'll see that as you type, and the studio is going to show you multiple suggestions for this case. So you can choose this set on click. Can you see this option here?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can just, if you've already typed it, just try and retype it and then choose that option, this one.
I should type it again.
Yes, yes. And then just go for this option.
In another line.
No. Retype what you had written, like just rub off a bit, like just rub off the set on click listener, and then just rewrite
Okay.
dot set on click listener, and then choose that option.
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, awesome. So within the curly brace, you put instructions for what should happen, and the button is tapped. For now, you'll have this you'll have your app display a toast, which is a brief message that appears to the user. So create a toast with the text dice rolled. So you'll see what a toast is. So what you're going to do is within the curly braces, yeah, write out this code, which is val toast. You can let me know when you finish writing, then you can continue to the next bit. All good?
Yeah, I'm still writing.
Okay.
Done.
Okay, awesome. So then you'll need to tell the toast to display itself by calling the show method. So just on the next line, write this, which is toast.
Start the curly braces.
Yeah, still within the curly braces, just immediately after what you had written on step 4, which is this.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the end, this is what your code should look like. Let me know if that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay, nice. So they're just giving you another tip here that says you could combine the two lines in the click listener into a single line. So this is a common pattern you might find in other code. So instead of having called your val this way, so actually let's just try and make the change. So on this line, can you see where my cursor is?
Yes.
Remove this bit. Yeah.
Done.
Okay. And then you see this toast here. Next line, delete that.
Done.
And then you remaining with this, right?
Yes.
You can cut that and then paste it up here after this parenthesis here. Done.
Done.
Okay, now you can remove this empty line that you have done here.
Yeah.
Is your code indented accordingly for this line? You can just quickly share.
This is my code.
Okay, so what you can do is line 15. Yeah, before the curly brace, just press the, yeah, now use backspace. And then after the toast, and after the curly brace, just before the word toast, the capital toast, press enter. And then at the end of that line 15, yes, enter. So now you have two curly braces. You should remove one. So you can remove either that one or the one in line 17. Yeah. Perfect. So now, yeah, let's run our code and see what we get. I think you should share your whole screen so that I can also be able to see the emulator.
Okay, let me switch here again.
Okay. Yeah, just do the same process of terminating and then it will restart. Did you manage to share a desktop?
Thank you, my screen.
Do you have your emulator on?
Yeah,
Oh, I can't see it. I think you're still sharing Android Studio alone.
I mean, I'm sharing my entire screen.
From this side, it doesn't look like it's a whole screen. It's just click on the share desktop bit. You don't have to stop sharing, just go to share again and then click on the first option, which is desktop or something. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes. Awesome. So just click that button. Nice. Have you seen what's happened?
Yeah, dashboard.
Nice. So that's what you call a toast. So from what's happened, if you just move the phone to your right side so you can see the code. Yeah, so when you click the button, what it says is that like it's going to show the text which is there, dice.rolled. And you can always play around with this toast. So right now it says length should be short. So if you adjust it to read length underscore long, it'll display for a long time. Oops, undo, Control Z. Oh, it's just taken to a new line. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let me see. I'm trying to see if there's a way we can keep making changes without necessarily waiting for each compile. So can you see that run tab at the bottom in your Android Studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, just click that. Neat. Just click it. Okay. Okay, now let's see the emulator again. Display longer. You see?
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's do one more interesting thing and then we can end the call. And then from there, we'll move to adding whatever logic we'll have in the next one, because we're also almost running out of time. But I do hope that so far it's engaging for you, that you're enjoying seeing things working.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So let me see. Let me share again. Yeah, so nice, hooray, you're able to click your button and then a message pops up. This is the first time you've written Kotlin code for Android, so that's really cool. So now we need to update the text view when the button is clicked. So instead of showing a temporary toast message, you'll write code to update the text view on the screen when the roll button is clicked. Do you understand what that means?
No.
So in this case, when you click on the roll button, instead of it bringing up this toast, you saw that you had a number above the button, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so you want that when you're clicking the button, the number is going to change. Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we'll go back to our activity underscore main.xml. Let me know when you're there. Actually, you should go back to sharing the screen. Let me stop. I'll just dictate already.
Share my screen.
Sorry?
Do I share my screen?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's go to activity underscore main.xml, the very first file that we looked at. You can minimize this, by the way. I think it's going to take up a lot of space. Just click on the run tab again so you can close. The other bottom, sorry. Okay. Okay, it's fine. So go to the activity underscore main.xml file. Yes. So what we're going to do now is let me see. Click on the text view. Clicked there. Note the ID is written text view. Can you see that, like on your attributes section, like on the right? Can you see ID is written text view?
No.
Up there on the right still. Can you see? This is in text view. Yeah, exactly there. So when you now open the main activity, the other file you are working on.
Activity.
Up there, up. On your left. Yes, yeah. So now just delete the toast. Like that whole line, just clear it. Nice. So in place of that, we're going to create a new variable and we're going to call it result text view. So write this down, val. Oh, sorry, you removed the curly brace on line 14. The opening one, yeah. Okay, cool. So val result, small r, result text view, capital T for text and capital V for view. Yeah, view, text view. And then use a full colon and we're gonna write text view, capital T. Yes. Yeah, and again, we needed to do the auto import, not yet done that, so we'll just manually do alt enter to import it. Sorry, capital V, capital V, capital V. Yeah, like that. Then import it, alt enter. Yeah, equals to find, similar to line 14, which was to find, to get the button, we're going to do find view by ID. And in this case, I can almost guess, you can almost guess what you need to do. So let me see if you can write it out. Given that we know that the ID for our text view is text view, small t, capital V. Small t. Perfect. Again, capital V. Yes. Okay. So now go to the text on the results view. We're going to set the text. So new line, enter, press enter. And we're going to write backspace a bit so that it's aligned. Enter. Let me see. It's a bit. Let me see. Okay, anyways, just write results text view, the one that with the variable we created on line 15, sorry. And write dot text. So we're going to fetch its attributes, just text. And then we'll equate that to a string of 6.
Sorry?
We're going to assign it the string 6, so equal to 6 in quotes. Yeah. So this is similar to what we did by setting the text in the attributes, but now it's in your code. So the text needs to be inside exactly the double quotes just to show that it's a string. Setting this explicitly means that for now the text view should always display 6. So let's go back to the activity underscore main, and we'll go to where we have our text on the attribute section and just remove that.
Remove text.
No, the value too. What you wrapped is okay. Okay, so now let's rerun. No, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to. Just run the application again. So yeah, just terminate. Yeah, so it's blank right now, but when you click it, it should display something. Perfect. You've seen that, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so our time is currently up. I don't know if we can do this next part quickly. I think we should. Do you have enough time for us to finish? It should take like less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just implement the logic for the row, and then we can call it a session. All right, so now we're going to be adding the dice roll logic. The only thing that's missing is actually rolling the dice. You can reuse the dice class from the previous code lab, so what you had initially done. So add the dice class. So after the curly brace in your main activity, can you see your main activity? The last curly brace of the main activity.
Yeah.
Go to a new line and let's create that class. So write class, then dice, capital D. And then in brackets, write val space, then we're gonna call this variable num size in the same way we've been calling variables. So num in small and then capital S. This is called camel case. Sides, sorry, not size. Like number of sides, D, yes. And then it's of the data types in data type integer, and to write that in Kotlin, it's capital I. So in full colon, space int, capital I. Yeah. And then outside the parentheses, add your curly braces. And then work on the function called roll. So again, declaring functions in Kotlin, it's fun. So we're gonna call it roll. Roll. And then what you call this thing, parentheses. Yes, then outside it we're going to have a colon, because it and the return value or the return type is going to be an int. So we'll write int, capital I. And then now we have our curly brace where we're going to write our logic. So in there, we will be returning the range. So oops, type return. Then in parentheses or in brackets, write 1 and then 3, is it 3 dots or 2 dots? Then 2 dots, and then write num sides. So actually that should be sides in plural, not singular. So change up there also. On line 23, make it sides plural as well. Okay, great. And then that's our int range. So we're going to generate a random number from it. We're not returning an int range, we're returning an int. So dot random. So the random method is a math thing. Exactly. So nice. That looks neat. So you'll notice that now Android is highlighting num sides up there in line 23 in gray. So this may take a moment to appear, but yeah, you can see it now. So hover your pointer on that bit, num sides, and you'll see a pop-up. No, the very first one, line 23, where you have a gray squiggly line. Just hover. Don't highlight, just hover. Yeah, so it says you need to make this property private. Have you guys learned about private, public?
No.
Not yet. Okay, so I'll just give you a really nice head start. So the marking num sides as private will make it only accessible within DICE. So this means that like if you are not within the DICE class, you can't be able to access number of sides, right? So for instance, if I am a teacher, I cannot be able to access a student's. No, actually, that's not a good example. If I am a pilot, I cannot be able to access a student's ID unless I am the student, assumingly, right? So this is essentially the same thing. Number of sides belongs to DICE and not DICE alone. So we need to make that private. So how we're going to do that is, let me see. Press Alt Enter.
On num side.
Actually, it says in order to make num sides private, you should press Alt Shift Enter. So just press that. Because you're currently on num sides. Exactly. Yes. So make it sides. Yes. Click that. Perfect. Nice. So it's private, only accessible within the DICE class. So now we're going to create our DICE, our roll DICE method. So, sorry, we're going to create a roll DICE method. Now replace. So back to our set dot line 15, where we were saying that if you click on the button, it's going to bring out this number 6, just clear line the code on line 16 and 17. Just erase that. And remember not to go with the curly brace. Okay, enter. From line 15, press enter. Yeah, so write out the, let me see. We need to create our dice object. You remember that bit, right? We need to create an instance of it. So what we'll do is, let me see. Just write roll dice in there, capital D, IC, and write the parentheses. Yeah, so sorry?
What do I do after roll dice?
Oh, the parentheses or the brackets. Yeah, so you notice that it's in red, yeah? So this is an unresolved method, meaning that it's not yet written, so we're going to write it right now. So what you do is we'll create the function roll dice. And how we can do that is Android Studio can help you with that. So just hover on line 16 again. And then do Alt Enter. Yes, create function roll dice. Exactly. So click that. So yeah, now we have a to-do that says we need to it's not yet implemented. So how we're going to do that is we'll create a new dice object. So in this step, you'll make, you've made the roll dice method, and we need to display the text. So inside the roll dice, delete that line 21, whatever has been highlighted, just delete it. And add, we're going to create a dice object. So val dice, in small d for dice, just write val. Yeah, 21, just where you are. Dice, small d, is equal to, we're going to create an instance of our dice class. So how do we do that? I want to see you try.
Okay.
Because our class that our blueprint is on line 26, right? The dice class, right? So to create an instance of the dice class, we're creating a variable called dice, and then we're going to assign it to the blueprint, right? And our blueprint is called dice on line 26, which is the capital D dice. So that's a clue. You're getting that, yeah. Just what you do then. Capital D. So the hint up there, you can just click that with your mouse, so that you can add the parentheses as well. Yeah, just practice on click. Yeah, exactly. So within it, we need to, if you look at line 26, it says that it needs to take in an argument, which is called number of sides. So we need to give our dice number of sides. So what you're going to give it is 6 sides on line 21. Perfect. Then we need to roll this dice. So we'll create another variable. So on a new line, press enter. We'll create a variable called dice roll. So val, then dice roll, capital R, yes, is equal to dice, the one that we created on line 21. No, the variable. Dot. Yes, row. Roll, which is line 28, the method of rolling the dice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we need to find our text view. So create another variable after that and call it result text view. We've done this similarly. Text view. Remember capital T and capital V. And then we're trying to find it, right?
Yeah. So would that be dice roll?
No, we're just trying to find it in our previous file. So when we're doing finding different views, for instance, on line 14, you can see that we used the find view by ID method. So that's what you need to do. Also, you need to specify the type of view that this is, your result view. So you need to add the colon and then write text view, kind of like I did on line 14 for the button. Can you see? Before the equal sign. Line 14. I just want you to compare that. So what you're going to do on line 23 will be similar to what you did on line 14. Only in this case, it's for the text view and not the button.
Okay,
So before the equal sign, add a colon. After the word result, yes, colon. And then you need to specify that it's a text view. Capital T and capital V. Yeah. And then you can equate it to find view by ID. So in this case, our text view had the ID text view. Small t, capital V. Okay, great. So now we have the variable dice roll, which is going to be a number that is returned, but the text we use is text and it then uses numbers. So we need to ensure that whatever value is being returned in is going to be displayed in our app is going to be a string and not an integer. Does that make sense? Online, yeah, because on line 30, if you look at it, the return type says integer. Like after you on line 30, just go to line 30. You can see it's specifying to return an int. Do you see that bit?
function integer. Return. Okay.
Yeah. So how you can tell that it's supposed to return an int is what we wrote there, int. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that specifies what type of data you're going to be returning. So in this case, the line 22, which is dice row, is going to be returning an integer. But in order for us to display anything on a text view, it needs to be a string. So what you're going to do on line 24 is convert the value that we get into a string. So how we do that is, and present that on our text view. So on line 24, write result text view dot text, which is specifying we need to access text, and equate that to dice row, but to convert it to a string dot to string. Yes, the method that's given there, to string. Yeah, nice. So yeah, let's run this and see what we get.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome. Yes. So now you're able to see that the dice results should change. And yeah, it's going to be a random number between 1 and 6 as it appears when you click on a button. So you rock, and thank you for being strong through this session. I know it must not have been easy to be going over this, especially for the first time, but I hope that you're able to learn something. And now you have a project to show for that.
Yeah. Thanks.
So do you have any feedback or any comments on the session so far?
Not really.
Mhm.
But I think that maybe like if others were here, it would have been more.
Mhm.
You could like share your screen, and then we have ours, and then we could basically just know what you're doing. So
Yeah, definitely. I feel like maybe what I'm struggling with is getting more people to join, because it's like what has happened today happened last week. There was another single person who came for the session, and then we worked together. So having everyone at the same time is getting a bit tricky. I'm not sure if your classmates are interested in the program, if they're not, or what the situation is. I guess I'd also like to know maybe from you so that I can maybe communicate better or something.
mm,
Actually, we're done, so I should stop recording.
okay.